We've had an Easter miracle here at Old Stonewall Farm. These pale blue eggs are a gift from Omelette, who hasn't laid one in 6 months as she's been broody. So imagine my surprise when I found them once again in the nesting box just a few days before Easter. Dyeing eggs has been going on for thousands of years, even predating Christianity. In medieval times, when people refrained from eating eggs during Lent, they would hard-boil them and then celebrate them being able to eat them again by dyeing them beautiful colors. How do we get the story of the Easter Bunny, though, hiding these eggs? Well, 13th century Germany, we began to see stories of an Easter Bunny hiding eggs. The first recorded story of an Easter Bunny myth happened in 1680s. When the Germans and the Swiss came to the United States in the 1700s and settled in Pennsylvania, they brought with them their tradition of the Easter Bunny. Johann Conrad Gilbert drew this picture of the Easter Bunny, complete with a basket full of colorful eggs, in 1757. It's said, too, that the Swiss and German children in the 1700s in Pennsylvania would often leave out their caps and hats the night before Easter, so that the bunny can leave for them 3 eggs representing the Trinity. How the eggs got their color? Well, the children would leave flowers for the Easter Bunny to eat. So that explains the color. How, in fact, did a bunny lay eggs? That's a whole other dilemma. It's Easter, and with all the myths and traditions to entertain us, I hold on dearly to the one truth that we celebrate this day, and that is Jesus Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Happy Easter to all of you. It is so wonderful to have you here at Old Stonewall Farm as we celebrate this holiday together. Just my yearly public service announcement that Easter is not just one day, but it's the start of a season of Eastertide. 50 days that lead us into Pentecost, and those 50 days are our invitation to meet our risen Lord, to see those beautiful God moments. One God moment was not so beautiful, but kind of scary, happened this morning. I'm on top of Sophie's Hill to greet the Easter day with the beautiful sunrise. And I'm sitting there, it's like 22 degrees, I'm freezing, just finally getting into that place of prayer and reflection. I noticed the beautiful birds that were chirping and then flying by. And then I looked over and I noticed that there was a deer that came onto the hill to graze. Just beautiful. Until then, when I gazed down from Sophie's Hill, until I noticed there was a chicken in the road. My chicken's out early this morning, and one of them was going into the road. So I had to run down the hill and get the chicken and then return to the hill and to greet the sunrise. It's never a dull moment. But here we are, Easter, a time to celebrate the resurrection of our Lord. And there was this one year while I was a pastor and a new family started coming to church. And of course, after the Easter service was over, I'm greeting people, and a lot of people were saying Happy Easter. And I didn't think anything of it until a new family shook my hand and then called me out on it. And they're like, you shouldn't say Happy Easter. And I'm like, okay. They're like, Happy Easter is very pagan. You have to say Happy Resurrection of our Lord Sunday. Easter comes from the pagan goddess of fertility. And I was like, okay. So even now, when I'm in church settings, when I find myself saying Happy Easter, it kind of gets like caught in my throat, like happy, can I say that or not? And I'm here to say, yes, we can say it. A lot of the Easter symbolism that we get does come from pagan roots. Is that a bad thing? I don't think it is. I think that God can use wherever we are at with our beliefs or our disbeliefs, God meets us. And I think That's the whole point of why Jesus came here on earth, to show us the way to love, but to also show us not to judge, not to have preconceived ideas, but to remind us that in this love of God, this great love, it's about God meeting us where we are. And that should give us comfort. We don't have to strive to be knowledgeable. We don't have to seek wisdom, except the wisdom from above. It's really refreshing to know that God meets us where we are. Early on in Christianity, that's what happened in the church. The church took the good news of Christ and his resurrection and began to meet people where they were. 6th century, the Pope sent 40 monks to the Great Britain area to tell the new converts that if you're not going to let go of your pagan traditions, then find a way to integrate them into the story of faith. And so they did. And that's where we get a lot of the symbolism, like the egg. We see a lot of times it is painted red to represent the resurrection, and an egg is symbolizing fertility, new life. And of course, we have the Easter bunny, the rabbit, or the hare. The hare is a better description of the rabbit, because the hare doesn't burrow into the ground, but it makes a nest. So the Easter hare. Well, the Germans began using the rabbit as a Christian symbol as early as the 13th century. And it was said that because the goddess of fertility, Yostra was her name, and that's where we get Easter from. Many different ways you could pronounce it. It was thought that she would be drawn by a cart by all these rabbits. And so rabbits were seen, in the pagan belief, rabbits were seen as a messenger bringing the fertility goddess. So rabbits were a messenger. So the Germans and that whole area, Switzerland and Germany, they began to take the rabbit as a religious symbol. Cathedral in Germany, there is a window known as the Hasenfester, and it's 3 hares depicted in this cathedral window. Now, they're all in a circle. 3 ears are interlocking the rabbits together, and that is to represent the Holy Trinity. And in a monastery in Switzerland, there's also the hare window that is depicted. And in my research, I found that along the Rhine in Germany, outdoors, there's a stone that also has the symbolism of the Trinity and the rabbits. So early on, God was meeting people where they were, not taking away the things that they believe, but saying, hey, here's what you believe, but I'm going to show you how Jesus fits into that. And to me, that is just beautiful. And so we can have the Easter Bunny and Jesus together when you realize that the rabbit was indeed a religious symbol, especially early on in Christian art. There's a painting in the Louvre in Paris of the Madonna and the Holy Child. And right there is a white rabbit to symbolize abundant life. That day when that new family reprimanded me for saying Happy Easter, that it was very pagan to do so, I didn't say anything. I just thanked them. But the more I thought about it, I was like, the two can coexist together. There are the Easter fables, but then ultimately those stories that we know can shed light on the Easter truth. A rabbit, abundant life, pointing to Jesus came to give us abundant life. It's Easter, and I always find this day to be a day in which I could breathe again. I could dream again. I find myself being renewed. And eventually I step into that new life, and I get excited to think now that my risen Lord is out there in the world, ready to greet me, to show me the way, to continue to show me the way. Yes, I get excited about Easter for the new life, for the abundant life. But I also realize that this year, that we have to remember once again why Jesus came, to give us that abundant life, but we can't lose sight of his commandment to love others. And that means meeting people where they are, taking where they are in their beliefs and not putting them down, but hearing them, listening to them, and then doing like what Jesus did. Find the God moment in that belief, that story, and create a living parable out of it. Become sticklers to how things ought to be, what's right, what's wrong. When we focus so much on that, then we ourselves shut God out. We ourselves then are not opened anymore to new and abundant life. We're always learning, we're always growing. And this year, in addition to the message of He is risen, I'm holding dear to my heart that love of Christ. Once again, that love, that redemption, and how He continues to meet us where we are. The other day, I had the opportunity to do a story for a local newspaper about April being National Poetry Month. And at this library, they had an actor portraying Walt Whitman. And I don't know much about Whitman's poetry. I'm more of a Robert Frost, Emily Dickinson fan. So I was really interested in hearing more about Whitman's life. And it seems that towards the end of Whitman's life, he began to have a stronger sense of God in his life. Whitman wrote, "I see something of God in every hour of the 24. And that really struck me. Perhaps the early believers were being urged as well, encouraged to see something of God every hour in everything. You are this very moment in your faith, in your belief, in your doubts, whatever it might be, wherever you are right now. The good news, the great news, the Easter message that I want to share with you is that God meets you right where you are, and He always will. And so I say, Happy Easter, and may you enjoy colorful Easter eggs that represent the resurrection. And if you're lucky, may you see a rabbit hop along your path so you can smile and be reminded that Christ offers you abundant life.